we'll start by doing circles with our neck. I'll bring my chin to my chest, rolling around in a big circle, not through any pain. Changing direction. Letting that come to a point of stillness. So if we were doing circles with the pit of the neck being our fulcrum here, let's bring it down about halfway through the spine. So same thing, tracing a circle. Now we're bringing more spine. If you want, you could have one hand on your abdomen, one hand on your chest. The upper hand is going to move, and the lower hand is going to stay relatively still. It doesn't matter how big of a circle you do here. The important thing is to do what you can without going into pain. Changing directions. Changing directions one more time. And starting to bring in more of the spine. As much as the spine as you can, pain-free. Maybe just 2 or 3 in one direction, switch. 2 or 3 in the other direction. Good, letting all that settle. Next, we're going to round our spine in front, finding how much curve can you get. Then taking our spine into a back bend. When you go into the back bend, you're going to squeeze the butt, you're going to engage the glutes. And we're going to go back and forth here. So I round, and then I arch. Every time you arch, you're squeezing the butt. That's going to help protect the lower back. You want the curve to be as equal as possible, as evenly distributed. So I don't want a big kink in my neck, and I don't want a big kink in my lower back. I'm trying to have a nice, even curve as much as possible. Good. Let's go into rotation. So I'm going to look over one shoulder. I'm going to look over the other shoulder. As I look, I'm bringing in the rest of the spine with me. If you want, when you get to that full twist position, you can grab your hips and pull yourself a little bit deeper. Good. Ear towards the shoulder, coming into a side bend. Finding the side bend on the other side. As we go back and forth here, I can bring my arm palm facing down, which will add a little bit of load to the stretch. So I'm really thinking about lengthening through this whole side body as I go back and forth. So we just went through the 6 ranges of motion of the spine, which are flexion, forward bending, extension, back bending, side bending to the left, side bending to the right, and then rotation to the left, rotation to the right. Next, we're going to do our best to mimic a wave motion with the spine. I'll break this movement down in another video, which I'll link below. But for now, do your best. If you've never learned this before, do your best to mimic what this looks like. I'm going to reverse the wave, so that was through the head. Now I'm going to go through the hips. So I push my hips forward and I roll up my spine. If you have a favorite right now, you can just go with your favorite. No big deal. If you're working on one or the other, you can do that. You can also do the waves side to side. These are more complex. And again, we'll break this down at another time. For now, we're just sort of showing what's possible with the spine. We started with circles, these rotational circles, then we went to the 6 ranges of motion with the spine moving as one big unit. Now we're going into moving each individual vertebrae. Extremely important for movement. And now we're going to start to find some free movement of the spine. So one way to start this is to stand, and then you can listen for an impulse for how your spine wants to move. I'm going to give you some different things to play with here. One is to let your eyes look around the space that you're in, and as your eyes move, let your spine just sort of follow. You can think if this room was dark, if you were in pitch black but you had a flashlight on top of your head, how could you map out the whole room? Seeing it from different angles. So seeing it, what does it look like from the side? Can you see things from upside down? Another imagery could be to put a paintbrush on top of the head and painting in 360 degrees. You can use me in the video for some inspiration. It doesn't have to look anything like what I'm doing though. Anything that feels good right now, moving of the spine, we've been moving from the head. The spine also includes the hips, so finding some hip circles is another element you can throw in. When in doubt, you can always go back to some simple circles. You can always go back to mimicking waves and finding different directions to do the waves in. I've been keeping my feet pretty much in the same spot. They're not like cemented in, they're allowed to pivot. My arms are pretty quiet right now. I'm just trying to focus on my spine. But again, this is your practice, so if you want to be moving the feet and moving the arms more, you're welcome to do that. My recommendation is just to keep most of the emphasis on movement of the spine. And you can think of this as a warm-up. You can think of this as some movement research. Finding what's interesting, finding what feels good, finding what might need some attention. maybe finding what hurts and what I don't want to do or what I want to be a little more careful with. You can think of this as dance, finding a groove, finding a flow. Just a little bit longer for now. Of course, if you're finding a good groove, you can always just pause the video, put on your favorite song, and enjoy.